here we go to Oxenfree. Now, Oxenfree originally came out at the beginning of the year. I picked it up on the Steam sale because I needed something to do while waiting for No Man's Sky. And I like these narrative-based games. I really enjoyed Gone Home. I liked the storytelling of Firewatch, not the story, but I liked the storytelling. It was done well. Games like that, I really enjoy them. Life is Strange, phenomenal. So I expected maybe something similar-ish. Heard some really good things. A couple of people who are now be referred to as the hyperbolic crazy ones over at various, IGN and GameSpot type places, saying that this could have, if it came out last year, could have been one of the Game of the Year contenders. That's insane to me. But going back, overall, so this is, it plays Alex, and you have your stepbrother Jonas. This is basically your first time meeting him on this boat trip with your friends. You're walking around, you get to make dialogue choices. The best, most interesting thing it does is allows you to not make a choice in every single dialogue option, which is super interesting and super complex and impressive in what they've done with this branching dialogue for the most part. There are points where people will kind of loop back weird or say something that seems out of sorts because I didn't engage or whatever, I said something different. So there's that. But overall, very well handled. And as you can maybe kind of see, not exactly a super pretty game, I think. This isn't a great example of a picture from it, but I mean, come on, that's how the game starts. So it's not my fault that you start with a weird, super gray thing. I'm not a huge fan of the visual style overall, really at all. It kind of looks like a weird pop-up book with these 3D models of the characters that look like clay Muppets floating around on them. I don't like that they animate like Muppets. Like if they get scared, they're like, whoa, and they like jump up like Muppets would, or puppets, I guess, if you want to be technical. Muppets or copyright, doesn't matter. So I'm not a huge fan of that, or the art style is very overall kind of dull to me. You're walking around the map, kind of exploring this island as some supernatural, spooky ghost stuff happens to you, and we'll get back to that. No spoilers in this, but we'll get back to that. So you're walking around the island. There's not much to do on this island. You have a radio, and you can listen to kind of facts about the island or interact with certain things with the radio. But there's really not much to do with it. There's not much to do on the island itself besides being, talked to or talking to people. And that's fine. For the most part, you're walking around with your brother Jonas, stepbrother, and talking to him, learning about him, or he's learning about you. We're talking about what's happening to you guys. It does seem a little unrealistic. I guess it doesn't say what year this happened in, so there probably aren't cell phones. But cell phones would have solved this problem rather quickly, as with most spooky stories. So they're on the island and you're walking around. There's not much to do on them, but the problem more so is that the paths are so linear, and I kept being annoyed having to walk on. It wasn't annoying that I had to walk everywhere or that it was maybe a little tedious to walk everywhere. It was annoying because the path was so thin and you had to point the control. This is a really stupid criticism. You had to point the controller in the exact direction that you were going. If it was anywhere off, you would go slower. You already went so goddamn slow. I don't know why it didn't like smooth that out. I had several visual glitches. Like there was this point at the beginning where you can get a beer and you pick it up and you're like drinking it. And then I went to do something else and the beer can disappeared from my hand, but I was still holding it, and so she just kept having this empty hand drinking. I'm like, all right, I guess. I don't know how I found that visual glitch instantly, and it hasn't been fixed yet. It's 6 months later. Like, I don't understand that. But whatever, indie, it's fine. The other problem has to do with this. These loading screens. There's straight up nothing on any of these maps. I don't know what it's loading. It's just a bunch of images. If the fucking Witcher can load in however long it takes, you can load these 2D graphics with these little 3D objects on it. Like, it's not that much to load. What is it loading? Why is it constantly loading? I don't know. I'm hung up on the stupid shit with this. So, whatever. It's a story-based game. It's mainly about the story. So I think the story is told well, but it has some pacing problems in that 20 minutes into it, we're already on the train of Spooky Town. You know, we're already going to Spooky Town, and I wasn't expecting that because I hadn't had that spoiled for me. Also, by the way, I don't know what Oxenfree means in relation to this game. It's just called Oxenfree. Inexplicably. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Should I look it up? Probably. Should I care? No, because you didn't make me care. Why? Why? What does that even mean? It's a good name, I guess, but I don't. So the story. The pacing is the problem. 20 minutes in, you're already in Spooky Town, and the party is split up. But I don't know anyone. And two characters in particular are not fleshed out or talked about for large parts of the adventure, to the point where they're basically, one in particular is one note, and I don't even really know anything about her except she was kind of mean to me, and then she dated someone, you know, and like that's all I know. This could have been very interesting and compelling if we had these same 5 characters. Yeah, 5 characters and a couple side ones that are kind of spoilers, but 5 characters. If I'd gotten to know them, if there was that party area at the beginning that went on for an hour, where you're meeting these people, talking to them, maybe you all go as a group to another part of the island, and then you go to another part, and then you return to the beach where you first were, and kind of get to know everyone, because you get to know Ren, which is your friend, who is obnoxious and I do not like very much at the beginning, and he warmed up to him, but he's an idiot. This is the kind of idiot who's like, oh, we're being spooked by ghosts. I'm going to eat a pot brownie. And I'm like, I can't with you. I just can't with you. Why am I friends with you? You're so dumb. I can't believe I helped you get the girl. Ridiculous. So he's annoying. And you really only know him, and he disappears for a while. And you know Jonas, your brother. Stepbrother. I don't know why I keep doing that. So he's your brother. Who cares? You only know him, and you're with him for the majority of the game. Well, you can kind of choose to change that, but only between him and Ren. And Ren's stupid, as we discussed. Ren is dumb. So we got Jonas, and you're with him, and you're learning things about him, and you're talking. So he's the most fleshed out character, as well as Alex, the main girl, who you're playing as and you get to choose dialogue for. But I don't know Ren, I don't know these 2 other people at all, because the game splits you apart from them for a third of the game at the very beginning, as opposed to, again with pacing, make the beginning about all these people interacting in a couple different scenarios and then set them on the adventure. Because otherwise, now I'm on this adventure and I'm meeting this person going, okay, I kind of know you, but now there's spooky stuff happening. And so I don't know if you're just being weird or if that's your character, or I don't know if any of this is out of character because I literally don't know your character. And then they finally, you know, whatever, some stuff happens, some more spooky stuff happens. They all get together. I'm kind of learning people. You go on one last trip around a lot of the areas in the game. It's not a very big area, so you kind of revisit them all again. Some spooky things happen. You get to the end, which could have a lot of choices, I think, to it, a lot of branching paths. So that's interesting. If you want to play through it again, it took me about 4.5 hours to do it all. But I couldn't help feeling like this would have been a better movie. I would have rather watched it, maybe a 3-hour thing, than played it. because walking around the paths, like, what am I really doing here? Oh, I have to tune the radio at certain points. Like, okay, that's cool, but it's not a big mechanic. You do it 10 times the entire game, maybe, not including optional stuff. So I don't really understand, why this isn't just something I can watch, especially, I don't know, is it just me? I think the graphics are pretty and well done. It's just not aesthetically pleasing to me. This is the map of the whole area. As you can see, you're in that one area, and that's, you go back to each area one time, or at least once. You talk to people. It's limited. It just feels very limited. It doesn't feel like so what Life is Strange did so well was it had the setup. It had the hour and a half, obviously it's a longer game, of setup, of me meeting these characters and wondering what they're about, and you get the rewind power, and you deal with all this stuff, and then things start happening. By the time you get to episode 3, things have happened. The train is rolling down the hill. This game doesn't have that build-up, and in fact, it starts doing weird shit so soon that it has like a second build-up to where it's like, we're going to this island. What's gonna happen? And then it drops down. Okay, now we're doing spooky stuff, and then I'm like, okay, I guess. And maybe it's because I don't believe in ghosts, and I don't believe in afterlife and all this shenanigans. I don't understand. It wasn't as compelling to me. I'm obviously not a teen girl who could rewind time, but I related with Max in Life is Strange much more than anyone in this game. I think that's the better thing to play as opposed to Oxenfree. I don't regret buying it. I bought it on Steam, so I'm not lying here. So that's fine. $10 for a 4.5-hour game. That's fine. It was interesting. Maybe I'd play it again and kind of do different choices, but it felt so stretched out because of the walking, because of some of these weird design choices. If this was just a game I could sit back and make the dialogue choices for and not have to move ever, I would have rather that, honestly. This felt like a weird choose-your-own-adventure movie, and I would have rather played the movie of it than do this and have different camera angles and not deal with this weird art where they kind of stand there, and it does this thing where I'm not sure. At this point in the game, I can go to the cliffs. You can see that I can go to the cliffs. It's really small. The cliffs is the next area. I can do that, or I can keep talking to people. If I go to the cliffs, I'm pretty sure that ends this dialogue. Okay? But I don't necessarily know that. So a player could just go to the cliffs and interrupt the entire scene of talking. I guess. I don't know. There are other points where there are things on the map. These are things that you can interact with, but I don't want to interact with the things because it's going to interrupt the dialogue that's happening. But then if I don't, there was a couple things I didn't interact with because they were talking, but then because I waited too long while they were talking, I couldn't interact with the items to see what they were. And then there were other times where I didn't interact with stuff, and they did this kind of weird, it just jumps the dialogue, where someone could be talking about, I can't believe the spooky man did the spooky thing. There's no spooky man. And then I'll be like, this sign looks old, because I looked at a sign, and then Joe will be like, yeah, I wonder what that's about. But anyway, and it's like, all right, well, that was weird. Why do you even let me look at things? Especially most of the things you're looking at aren't useful or interesting, but the ones that are in the way and are not. They're in the way of the other dialogue. That's the main focus of the game. This entire game is talking to people and wandering around. And as I said, the wandering around isn't amazing. It's just a means to an end and can feel like padding, which I don't think the game needs. I would have rather a more focused, just more narrative. And then the other part of the game is it's talking, and there's all these weird things where it's like, well, I don't want to say any of these things, so I'm just not going to say whatever. And then everyone's going to talk, and then like, well, that didn't go how I wanted it to go, and oh, I interrupted him, and now I'll never hear the end of that story, or did I miss some of that story, or did he finish it, or I don't know. And sometimes they just talk for so long, and I'm like, I want to investigate this chair, right? But I can't investigate this chair because everyone's talking. So then I'm standing next to this chair, being like, okay, I'm listening to this interesting dialogue, but you also put a chair here that I can interact with. So why did you do both? Why did you set me up to where now I have to sit here and like feel like I'm waiting to just see this chair, to see this one line, because I don't want to interrupt the dialogue to miss something. It's this weird, why let me interact with certain things at all? Especially, there's very few things to interact with, so it just doesn't, it's weird. And I think the game's fine. It's just fine. Yeah. It's just fine. That's about what I can say about it. It's a game that I played, and you know, it could be better. A lot of things could be better about everything. But it really feels like at some point along in this, it kind of went down not the wrong path for me, where it just became, oh, we need to have more game stuff. Let's interact with this. Let's do this. As opposed to like just tell your story, man. Just tell your interesting ghosty story, which I was not expecting at all. Ghosts, especially because I mean, not to spoil things, but it's ghosts. It's not like Scooby-Doo, where there's like a crazy old man in a costume. It is not a crazy old man in a costume. That becomes very clear pretty early. Also, with the plotting, pacing, whatever, it kind of just ends. It's like, oh no, something's happening, and then that happens, and then the next thing that happens is, oh, I have a plan. Do the plan, do one other thing, then you're done. It just feels very, very short, and I feel like kids, or really anyone in this situation, wouldn't be acting like this about any of this. Like, they're really kind of, oh no, I'm so scared. Will we ever recover from this? Like, I guess. I mean, you guys don't really seem that freaked out. Like, I would be way more freaked out about this. Who goes on a spooky island by themselves? You invited 5 people to an island party? It's not an island party, dude. I don't know. This is one of the things where it happens all the time, where I get hung up on some dumb shit for too long, maybe. But I think it's important in this because that was what they were going for, and I feel like just watching this as an interactive movie would have been better than having to deal with, am I in the right spot? Can I interact with this? Why isn't that? Oh, I interrupted the dialogue. Now he's not talking about his brother anymore or whatever. He doesn't have a brother. But, you know. And now I missed that. Oh, well, what about this? How do I do that? It was fine. It wasn't like terrible. I didn't quit playing it. I kept going because it was fun and interesting, but it was just that. It wasn't anything more than that. It was fine. For $10, it was fine. It was interesting. I think it's told well. I think other people might like the story more, but it's hard to say, like, oh, if you like the story more, you'll like the game more. Like, well, that requires you to know the full story. It certainly doesn't do what Firewatch does, which is have a stupid ending, which makes no sense. Not the ending, the answer to the mystery, which is garbage. It makes no goddamn sense. This at least sticks with what it's doing. In terms, the entire plot is grounded in its own fiction. It doesn't all of a sudden go, oh, this guy was hiding in the woods for 3 years and that's why he's doing this. For no reason. Firewatch. Ridiculous. But as you can see, this is 20 minutes in, and we're maybe 4 minutes away from when the paranormal stuff starts happening again. Or for the first time again. It's just not enough. Especially since some of these 2 other characters you meet 5 minutes ago. You've known them for 5 minutes and now you're separated from them. You don't know them. It kills the entire thing. You can't care about a character or feel like they're in danger That's what it is. There's no danger in this. I never felt like someone could die or there was some crazy thing going to happen. It felt very safe. And maybe that partially comes from the art style, I think. And the way everyone animates like weird little Nightmare Before Christmas people. Not in a good way. Because Nightmare Before Christmas. But not to ramble on this anymore, I do this show for myself, all alone. No. Every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/thegamefanatics. I also stream on my own channel, twitch.tv/BenReacts, Mario Maker, all the time. Probably gonna stream some No Man's Sky because it's No Man's Sky. That's why. That's reason enough, right? I think so. This is a certain point in the story where I start walking up these stairs just to see what will happen. Nothing happened. They were just talking. And I just don't talk to them back because I'm so far away. I don't know. Oxenfree's fine. It's fine. Normally during this part of the show, I would have talked to the chat, but moving the show over here has kind of diminished the chat. It's sad. It'll come back. The chat will come back one day. One day there will be chat. Look at it. And then I go, oh, that was the other thing about this game. Jesus Christ. The stairs are so slow. You're walking down these stairs, and it's just like, can we move any quick? Like, there are ghosts, girl. Walk a little, like, pick it up. Pick it up on the stairs. You know? You know what I'm saying? Pick it up on the stairs. There are ghosts. That's it. That's all. Ridiculous. Alright, that's it. Merry Christmas. See you next week. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Is that how I should end things? No. But that is how I will end things. Take that, Oxenfree.